Hey, what's going on? Yo, E-Tech Millie, and we are going to change up a little bit brakes. Because we're gonna down trucks, and it's a lot of money in it. So if I can fix myself on, if I can fix myself on the side of the road, or if I can fix myself on the side of the road, or if I can fix someone else from, I ain't that much. I'm gonna drop 1,000, and then it's another night. It's International 99 that we're gonna be taking care of. We're not really caring about it being 100% the greatest looking thing. We want to make sure functionality is there. So it's going to be a lot of functional stuff that we're going to be looking at, and I always like to learn about whatever I'm dealing with. So we're going to be watching a few videos based on the 4700. Alright, so let's go ahead and dive into and go from there. 1 second.
Alright, y'all. Let's do a quick review on the Freightliner and the International box truck. I honestly think the Freightliner is better in terms of visibility. That's just my opinion. You kind of sit low compared to the International. You're kind of sitting low and you can see the whole back. You got good visibility both sides. So that's just my take. That's just my opinion. Right? You would think I'll go towards International since I own one, but I don't. In terms of acceleration, I think the International is better, the way it takes off. But once you're on the highway with the Freightliner, it has a little bit more power. 90 miles to get used to driving one of these, right? And after that, it just drives like a regular car. Like you know how to, how wide your turns are, when to stop, what kind of distance you need in front of you. So, I was terrified when I thought about, starting to drive this thing, but now I just whip it like a regular car. It ain't no big difference. I just drive it like a regular car now. So, but I'm also aware that it's not as fast as a regular car when when it comes to brakes. You feel me? So that's definitely something you always want to be mindful of. But overall, man, the Freightliner, I think it's a good truck to start with. And not to say it's a good truck to start with. It just feels better to drive. It just sits right. It's low to the ground compared to the Freightliner, compared to the International. So that's just why I'm saying what I'm saying. Yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and take a test drive in the International, and just see how how that feels, compared to the Freightliner. Yeah.
All right, so now that we have seen the Freightliner, we're gonna go ahead and look at the International and see how that drives. So I drove the Freightliner first. Now we're gonna go jump into the International and let's talk about that. And again, at the end of the day, both trucks is great. Not bashing one or the other. It's just gonna end up being your preference, whichever one you like. If you're in the market to, when I bought my truck, I didn't get the chance to go ahead and test drive the truck. Just bought it offline and that was it. If you can, go get in a Freightliner, test drive that one, then get in the International, get in the Hino, whatever you want to do. So long, you like the truck and it's the engine is a good engine, you're good to go. There's nothing wrong with that. This is just a little comparison between the two trucks. So, and again, this is just my opinion. Somebody can, have their own whatever one you like. That's your preference. I just thought I'd just run down the two trucks. So maybe I can help out a little bit. Everybody be bashing the Internationals. As long as you got a good engine in that's fine. So it is what it is. Check the
So I'm
International.
doing a quick review on the Freightliner and the International. Just trying to see which one is my preference. Now, I'm not gonna say that I like both, but I feel like comparing, like when you drive the Freightliner and then you jump into the International. With the Freightliner, you kind of sit low compared to the Internationals. I don't know if it's just me, but that's how I feel. In terms of power, I feel like the International has a better acceleration than the Freightliner. I think in general, once you're on the highway, I think the International goes faster than the Freightliner. I might be biased, but in terms of visibility, the Freightliner, you kind of see a lot more better than sitting in the International. I don't know, it could be just me, or it could have been the way I was sitting, but I feel like you got more control with the Freightliner. It feels smaller than the International, cab. So which one would I prefer? I don't know. At first, when I drove the Freightliner, I kind of liked it better, and I think if you're starting out with the box truck, the Freightliner might be your choice, because the way you're sitting kind of low and you have good visibility. But at the same time, I could be wrong, because both of them 26 foot, they're both the same length, so I could just be biased. But if I had a choice, would I be buying a Freightliner or International? I don't know. I just, everybody talks about the Freightliner. But now that I've drove this for almost 1,000 miles, the International, I drove this for almost 1,000 miles, and I drove the Freightliner for about 600 miles. I'm getting used to the International, so I like it now. But before I drove this, and I only drove it for I think about 60 miles before, I would have said the Freightliner. But I think I've drove this, more miles, and I've spent more time in this, so I'm kind of getting used to it. So at the end of the day, you're just gonna have to get used to whatever you get, and it feels comfortable. But if I was doing a test drive, if I was off the back fresh, no experience in a box truck, and I was in the hunt, or I'm in the market to buy a box truck, most people are gonna go buy a Freightliner because it feels better. It sits lower than the Internationals, I think. So, you know, most people will lean towards the Freightliners. But I think in terms of like acceleration, I think the International does it for me. So in that case, I'm gonna go with the International. But again, before I started driving this, I was leaning towards the Freightliner because just the way it looks, just the way it sits.
Man, the way I look at it, if it all depends on how much each of them cost. I'm gonna do it by cost and just predicting on predicted PM and CMs, preventative maintenance, corrective maintenance. You know, if it look like it's gonna be a headache, you know, I might pass on it. But if it look like it's something that's gonna be easy to deal with, hey, let's do it. But it's always about having the right space and time. Yeah, let's move on past this guy. I like with jelly. I don't like with jelly. Okay.
Hey guys, JC Smith here. Here's our next project. This is a 2006 International. I bought this truck for parts. It's got 78,000 miles on it. It's real low miles, but it sat a good bit. It was used as a project truck. They would haul the materials to a job. It'd sit there for 6-8 months. Then they go fill it up with more material for the next job, and it go sit for another 6 or 8 months or whatever the case. And it got rusty from sitting around. So the driveline is really good, but the body's bad. And I have another truck that has an absolutely beautiful body, and we're going to use the motor and transmission in it. I've sold this box, so we have to remove it. So that's going to be the first thing. We're going to cut the lift gate off the back. You can see how it's on here. We're going to cut that off right back here. We're just going to cut the frame right here. So the lift gate comes off. The box comes off. The box is held on. You can see pretty rusty U-bolts here. Rusty. Another one. And so on. Alright. And then we're going to lift the body up and drive the truck away. That's how we'll do it. So what we're going to do down here is I'm going to use the plasma cutter. I'm going to cut everything loose, get it all ready to go, and then I'm going to take it in the other driveway, and we'll put the great all in the front, the skid steer in the back, and we'll lift it up and drive it away. But you can see here, this is why we're not using the truck for anything. See how the back's rusted with holes. So there's a fuel tank strap here that's rusted in two. So and the interior is not nice either. The body, you can't see it maybe, but it's got all kinds of overspray on it. They left the window down at some point, and this is absolutely rusted away. And the seat's chewed up, but it is an Allison automatic. This is an under CDL truck, so we're going to take it apart. We'll save the doors, but I doubt we'll use these. But there are a lot of good parts that we can keep. The quarter fenders are good. The hood, it needs buffed out something, but it's got a really good grill, and these grills are very expensive for what they are, I should say. Got good headlights. Got another good quarter fender. It's a light duty truck. You notice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lugs instead of 10, but they are hub pilots. I believe these are 10R22.5s. Yeah, not a very common truck size except for light duty stuff. But we'll hang on to them because we have plans, don't we always? We've got plans. It's got really good back tires. You know, the frame's in good shape. It's got a little bit of surface, nothing really that big a deal. I mean, things that could be overcome, that's for sure. So, the plan is, well, I'm not going to tell you the plan. We're just going to take this truck apart. This is going to be part of a next series of the other truck I have. We're going to pull its motor and transmission out. It had 140, I think, on it, or 150,000, and the engine has troubles. And it was more cost effective for me to buy this truck for parts than it was to fix the other engine. If you're not familiar, this is what's called a VT365. That's basically the International 6-liter they use in the Super Duties. Same engine. Well, it was cheaper for me to buy this truck than it was to repair the other engine. So I've sold the box. So we'll get money out of that. We're getting money out of the lift gate, and then all the other parts. The hood we'll hang on to. We'll hang on to the hood. We'll hang on to the bumper. We'll clean this bumper up and repaint it, and we'll hang on to that. The wheels and tires we're probably going to end up using. They're pretty hard to see this way, but they're pretty decent. I mean, they got enough tread for what my intentions are. This is a good chassis for a project that I've got an idea for. So we're going to get moving on that. So let's get to it. So the box is loose. So next step is wiring. I'll do that next because I want this to be all secure while I'm working in here and not moving around. So this wiring here, there we go. And this is for box lights. They ran extension cord back here. So we're just going to cut that. And let's see, this is the actual stop turn tail. There's the stop turn tail. And we're just going to cut them too because they don't matter. And then this is the power for the lift gate, so we'll be kind of careful with that. So let me get that out of here. Alright, not nearly as nice as I wished it was, but it is what it is. We're loose. So you guys saw, there's not really a whole lot to it. I ended up just cutting that because I tried to gouge out the welds, but it was taking so long. I figured I might end up doing more damage to the plates if he needs them, so I figured I'd just cut the frame off because we don't need it. But, so all that's off. I'm going to pull the truck forward just a little bit just to make sure everything's away and I haven't forgotten anything. And then we're going to temporary throw a strap over top to the frame in 2 places so it's able to be moved, and then we're going to take it off. I got to tie up some of the battery cable and the lights so they're not dragging, so I'm going to get onto that right now. I got my cords, love them out, and then I'm going to whip the back. Okay, so there it is. Unfortunately, the camera ran out of memory before we got it sitting down on the ground, but it went very well. The best way to describe this was uneventful. It's the best way to describe it. If it comes down nice and easy and doesn't do anything weird, or doesn't get hung up on the frame or something weird, we try and bring it up enough that we can drive out and make sure we're on level ground, so we don't have to worry about the tail end of the frame coming up and down. But the key to this is we put the skid steer in the back, put the forks out as wide as I can, so it helps to give it a little more stability towards the rear. And then up here in the front, I take 2 separate chains. I go in around the frame rail the main runner, on top of the, go back about 3 or 4 cross members, come over and come back, and then lock it on itself, and do the same thing over here, and then I bring them both to a point, and it works. Well, as you can see, it works pretty well. No issues whatsoever. It came off good. So now this is ready for the guy when he shows up with his trailer to put it on. You got to be careful when it's windy. As you can see, it's kind of windy today. But sometimes it'll, want to swing a little bit. Good breeze coming right now. But now that that's off the truck, the next series you'll be seeing is me taking the truck apart. So that's it for this one. Look for next time. We'll be pulling the motor out of the truck, the transmission, and setting the truck aside, and then we're going to bring another one in, pull the motor training out of it, and put the good motor and transmission in the truck. So that should be coming up soon.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that guy. I like his video. Learn a little bit.
So if you guys like what we're doing, give us that thumbs up. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Leave your comments down below, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.
Okay, you're gonna need at least a 3/4 impact gun to a 1-inch impact gun. You need an 1.5-inch impact socket. This one here is a deep well. Black Hawk is a great product. I like to use disposable gloves to protect my hands, and earplugs to protect my ears, and safety glasses anytime I'm using an impact gun. You never know what that socket may do. Alright, since we are replacing the front brake pads, we're going to block one of the rear wheels with shunt blocks. Next, we're going to use the front axle to actually lift the vehicle. And as you can see, always use jack stands. We have the jack stands mounted properly on both sides. Okay. I want to point out one thing. On a S4700, you have left-handed threads and you have right-handed threads. Right-handed threads are going to be on the right side, the passenger side of the vehicle. So when you're taking off a lug nut, what we want to do, we want to have to turn it to take it off. We would take it off clockwise. To put it back on, we're going to go to the left, counterclockwise. Caliber, and I got a 13/16 socket here. I don't think it's gonna measure. Yep, 13/16 socket. I'm gonna break these two bolts off. This bolt here, and we have one down here. All right, use a ratchet. What I like to do when I take the caliper off, I really prefer to have something like a 5-gallon bucket just for it to sit on, and I can actually work with it on the 5-gallon bucket, but I don't have one. So right now, I just want to lay the caliper to the side, and sometimes you need a screwdriver to get it off with. As wasn't too bad. Just going to lift the caliper right off, bring it over to the side here, and you don't want to have it hanging. And you definitely don't want to damage this brake line. Just going to put it over here somewhere. I really want it to actually stay in place. And here are your brake shoes, your brake pads, that is. And just slide them on out, and you put your new one in. Now, before you put back on your new brake pads, what I like to do is you have to push back in your pistons on your brake caliper. I like to use one of the old brake pads. Take a C-clamp and use it to actually press it back in. And you want to get it all the way flush back up against the caliper itself. Okay. All right. That's what you want. Then you can put in your new pads, and I'll wait for the parts guy to bring them to me. In the meanwhile, like I said, you want to make sure that you have no pressure on this line. You do not want to damage that brake hose. So just hang your caliper until you're ready for your brake pads. Have that caliper resting up against something. Okay, so we just got our new brake pads. The parts guy just dropped them off. And I got these straight from the international dealer. And for those who know me, I like to keep international parts with international and Ford parts with Ford and GM with GM. But you can get these parts from anywhere. Napa, Advance, Conquest, everyone sells them. Alright, let's grab my caliper here. Put our new pads. Make sure our pans are moving easily back and forth. If not, take time to pull them out and just lubricate them and put some grease on just to make sure that they have that flexibility there. Okay, we're going to put our caliper back on. And you want to push in on want to do here, wash your fingers. There you go. And we'll put our bolts back in. And that's all we have to do for that. You don't have to bleed her because we didn't break anything loose. We did not replace the caliper. And we're pretty good to go. So we're going to go on to our right side and do the same. If you replace one side, make sure you replace the other. Do not just do one and do not do the other side. Do not do the left side and do not replace the right. You gotta replace both sides. Alright. You wanna make sure that they are on tight. Very important. That is very important. Alright. So with this side, all we have to do is put our tire back on. And keep in mind, left hand threads, when you put them back on the tire, you're gonna turn it to counterclockwise to the left to tighten it up. All right, we're gonna put this tire on. And listen, save your back when you're putting on a tire like this. I like to use a bar. Get you some type of bar that you can put underneath the tire to actually lift the tire up, because you do not want to use your back. So I like to roll the tire on the bar. Walk it in. Have your lug nut nearby so that tire won't jump back off. Hate for all your hard work to go to waste and that tire comes back off. Like I said, we left hand, we're going to turn it counterclockwise and turn it to the left to tighten her up. Okay, we're going to tighten back up. And I do recommend to use a torque wrench, lower it down, put some weight back on the tires, and use a torque wrench and look up the specs of the vehicle that you are working on and just torque the lug nuts, make sure they're properly tight. Just make sure they're good and tight. Okay, that's all there is to it. And I'm gonna go to the right side and take care of that. But now you know how to do it, so you don't need me with this. All right, thank you for watching. Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video segment, I'm going to show you how to replace the parking brake shoes in a S4700 International. And the first thing you want to do, you want to have your parking brake disengaged. And it doesn't hurt to actually back off on the adjustments, but the main thing you want to have it disengaged. And we're going to go underneath the vehicle.
Hey guys, JC Smith here. Here's our next project. This is a 2006 International.
No bad, I'm messing up.
Hey guys, JC Smith here. Here's our next project. This is a 2006 International. I bought this truck for parts. It's got 78,000 miles on it. It's real low miles, but it sat a good bit. Today we gotta go do some brake lines on a truck I bought. It has, it supposedly had one blown brake line. I went to go look at it and test drive it. It's got two blown brake lines. So I got some of this nickel copper 1/4 inch line. I got drill bits, cutting wheel, brake parts cleaner, line wrenches. I got brake fluid in the truck. Couple lights, some couple new line nuts, and I have 2 more rolls of brand new brake line as well, just in case I don't have enough. I think I should. Those rolls are not complete, but they're close. And what else? Oh, my tubing bender. I don't want to forget that.
Well, we're here. We bought this truck, but the brake lines are bad on it, so got to fix them real quick before we can take it home. That's what he's working on.
Forgot my tubing bender at home, so I'm gonna have to use this one. This little cheapie I picked up at Riley's.
Yeah, it's hard to remember every tool you need when you're going somewhere to work on something.
Yeah, it's a crap bender too. I mean, it crushes the line. Piece of junk.
Better than nothing.
I'm not sure.
Oh.
I mean, the idea is it's supposed to keep it from crushing, but just have to manipulate it, do the best I can. Forgot mine. I stopped at 3 places to see if I could buy a good one. The only thing I could find is this cheap piece of crap. Alright, hold me right here.
Okay.
Trying to straighten out some of these bends in this thing. So this is a line that I used from a truck we took apart. Someone had just put it on, but there was a bunch of compression cables. So I just pulled them out completely because they had splicing. already put this in. I just reused the original nut. You can see how that's kind of a different nut, like a, whatever it is, 9/16 head, but still a 1/4 inch flare here. So now we're gonna set it through and get it on. All right, we're almost home, but we got a problem. We blew another brake line. It's on the back. So I'm gonna see if I can just pinch off the hose to the rear, because we're only just a couple miles from home. All right, it's leaking right here, and I tried to pinch it off, like crimp the line over on itself, and it just won't work. So I got a pair of vice grips on that hose that goes to the back. I'm only, I don't know, mile and a half, less than 2 miles from home. It's all back road, so we got good front brakes. We just lost the rear. All right, I got a good brake pedal again. All right, probably not the ideal way to go, but test it here, make sure it's gonna hold in a good stop. Oh yeah, yep, we're good. All right, let's head on the rest of the way home. I'm just taking these back county roads, you know, there's no traffic on here. So if I lose brakes, I can always pull on the emergency brake. It works well, I checked that, but I think we'll be all right. Oh, we made it. That problem I was having, I don't know if I got it on video or not, but it would occasionally just shut off. You're driving along and the wait to start light would come on. It would shut off and the wait to start light would come on, and you go down the road, hit a bump again, and it would come back. And I think I found it. It's in the ignition switch. The one of the connections was loose, and it looks like it had melted the plastic behind it. So I took my knife, got in there and cleaned it, and then squeezed the terminal back and shoved it back on, and it seems like it's working. So let's see if it fires right back up. It was having trouble starting up. Yeah, I think we got it fixed. All right, so we made it back okay. Everything went well. Just a little problem with the brake line, like you saw. Ran and drove good. It's a 2000 International 4700. It's 22.5 tires. The GVW is 25,500. It's Allison automatic. Again, hydraulic brakes. It's an air-conditioned truck. I don't think the air conditioning works, but it's all there. And like the interior's in decent shape. You know, it's not all beat up. But the rockers are good. The underside of the cab looks decent. It's been sitting a while because the guy I bought it from did work for these people, and they had the truck there, and they were going to build it into a dump truck, and then they decided, no, we're not going to do it. So it sat there while they waited on deciding what to do, and finally they just bought something else. And you can see it's a double frame. It's got a little bit of, you know, just surface crap on it. This is nothing. You know, this will clean up nicely. It's not bubbled anywhere. It's just flaking from the outside, the paint and stuff. But it'll make a nice little dump truck or something. We'll move the axle forward and make it something else. The rear brakes are okay. They're not, like, I touched the calipers when we got back. They're not hot, so that's good. But we'll move that axle way forward and turn this into a little baby dump truck. You know, it'd be a good under CDL dump truck for somebody. We'll take the box off. It's in less than fantastic shape, but it'll be good for storage. Don't you know, somebody will want it for storage. A lot of farmers around here. A little bit of turn down's no good on that. That's kind of weird. The rest of the exhaust seem to be okay. Front tires are but if we go through it, we go over, we'll do it all. You know, get it. I have another bumper. The hood looks like it's in pretty good shape. It's just dirty. Had good batteries in it. This door latch here is, the locks act up on these where they get locked and you can't open from the outside. So I'll fix that. That's not really a big deal. So now I have to do the rear brake lines, and I didn't just stop and do them even though I had the stuff with me, because one, we were only 1.5 miles, 2 miles from home, and two, it's counterproductive because when I do that and then I move this axle forward, I'm going to have to cut them back down. So it is what it is. But anyways, that's that one. Another day in the books. It's over. We got it home. It was a little bit of a drive, a little bit of a fiasco, but it should be worth it in the end. It's a decent looking truck. And when we're done, it probably won't look anything like it does now. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you look forward to seeing us turn this one probably into a dump bed or a rollback. This would make a nice little rollback. I didn't even think about that. I'm gonna get the numbers off transmission, see if it has.
This is the my International 99 that we're looking at. So that's the oil pan right there, and looking at the transaxle, like where the trans case, whatever, where it meets, and there may be a little oil getting out. It's black. It's not red. So inside of the box truck. I like the little thing that goes under right there. Nice little storage. So you can't see from the outside. This is the coolant. But you see right there. As soon as you look at it, it looks like it's there. It's green, and it's definitely to where the max is. So that's good. I mean, right now it don't look like I really have too much to do outside of plot and plan on upgrades. As far as the metal. Yep, that's good. Fuel water separator. Not sure what's underneath the alternator.
You have to take off these lug nuts. They're torqued to 250 foot-pounds on the front, 350 on the back. According to what I found on the internet, this says left on it, clear as day. Left hand thread. That's why it says left. And here's the thing that makes it even more exciting. These ones over here, these are marked right. So these are standard threads like you would find on any other vehicle. You turn it left to loosen. These ones over here are reverse thread. And then once you strip them, sometimes the stud comes free, which is what happened to me. And you have to torch off the nut. So fortunately I had a cutting torch. Don't make the same mistake I did, guys. Left hand side is left hand thread. To do this brake job, all you have to do is just take out this little bolt right here and knock out this slider towards me. Right here you see me bashing this with a hammer, but if you stick a screwdriver into the hole in the caliper, you can pry against the rotor and loosen it off in 1 second. The other way to compress these pistons is the same as usual with the C-clamp. I have to get this rotor off, so there's just 4 little bolts, 1/2-inch bolts. That lets this cover off. This is some kind of a plastic composite, it seems like. The other side was actually broken. There's gear oil inside this. It looks like there's a greasable option for this because there's a hole for a grease zerk on these, but we obviously have the oil bath. So that's a nut cover. So we need to get this out, and then there should be a nut under there that can be removed. Got that. 1 5/8. Just for fun, I'm gonna see how tight this goes. Oh yeah, that goes a lot tighter. The reason I wanted to know that is because when I put this back together, I don't know the exact sequence or the torque on how to reinstall that nut. Typically you just tighten it where it's really tight and you spin the wheel, and then when the wheel starts to get snug, you back it off till it feels loose again. They often have a torque and then a second torque that they do it, but if you can just sort of guesstimate how tight it was and then how far it has to back out, then that solves the mystery of how tight it needs to be. Big washer and a bearing. Wow, I thought I was going to see a bigger bearing. Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. The hub can stay as it is with the bearing, but it needs the rotor removed off of it. Yeah, this rotor is ruined. It's also important to note there are some washers that come off of these studs. Don't lose those washers on your work area.
We'll have to put the bearing first.
Bearings. At this point, you're supposed to get this thing nice and tight, and then there's always a sequence for backing it out the perfect amount, and then you give it a final torque. But I didn't really know what any of those numbers were, so I just went pretty loco tight with this thing, and then I just backed it out and I spun it once I got it tight, so I knew that it was getting pretty snug. It gets to a point where you can't go any tighter and it'll still turn. And then you just back it out a little bit, and you'll see in a second it's nice and loosey-goosey when it spins. That's about 90 right there. You're the expert. Okay. I didn't fully know what I was doing on this first one, adding this gear lube to this hub, but basically when you first add the gear lube through this little hole that I'm taking the head off, you pour it in there, and then it pushes through the bearing into the hollow in the hub, and so it fills up a much larger space. I didn't really give it a chance to settle, but if I would have sat there and waited for a minute, that fluid would have settled down. What I like to do is just keep adding fluid, you know, and watching it settle until it seems overly full, and then it'll lose a little fluid as you're driving the truck. Like it comes out the end of the hub and goes out onto the wheel, so it's not harming anything. That back seal is still holding any fluid that's trying to get out of the hub, so it's not getting on the rotor. This top area where I'm about to be putting the grease is actually not the correct spot for the grease. It's actually supposed to be on the slide that we're about to pound in there once the caliper is in place. Because this section here, the slide is permanently affixed over top of it, and then the secondary piece moves on that. It's hard to describe, but basically the grease was needlessly put right there in that upper portion.
Do it.
Wow. I did this wrong before. The slider, this does not go here. It goes like this. And then the part with the bolt goes there. Yeah, should have been more like this.
Oh yeah, I did it to way smoother.
Yeah. Reinstalling the wheel can be pretty hard on this truck because the wheel plus tire is too heavy for a guy to lift. You're not going to pick it up and jam it on there. Even like a pickup truck tire, like a reasonably strong individual can put a pickup tire on there without too much difficulty. But these tires are just so heavy, you have to use the jack to raise the truck up or down, or you can put a pry bar up under the wheel and push up and down on it to help locate it properly to the studs. And if you're like me and you destroyed your studs by tightening the reverse threads instead of loosening them, then you have the joy of pulling in these new studs, which requires an excessive amount of force. You can't do it with a 1/2-inch impact. Like a DeWalt and a Milwaukee, you could probably do it, but you'd be sitting there impacting it for a long time. And I was doing this with a chrome socket. I really didn't want to put the wear on that chrome socket because I was afraid I was going to void the warranty or even diminish my chances even more than what I already had of being able to warranty it if I needed to. So I'm just doing these. Like a couple of those, I could not get them off. I used my long handled 3/4-inch drive ratchet. Could not get it to save my life, and so this torch saved my life, because if I didn't have this, I really don't know how I would have gotten them out. If you're doing this job, I wish you the best of luck. You're going to need a torch. I don't know what else to say. Taking off this caliper and brake pads is the same arrangement as the front calipers. The only difference being that the bolt and the slide, spring slide, are on the bottom of this caliper instead of the top. This is what the brake pads look like. This material is kind of coming apart. I really couldn't tell you why. Excessive pressure and heat, who knows, but it's not smooth. It's all super abrasive, like little threads coming off of it almost. It feels fuzzy. Yeah, this pad is just coming apart, like under my fingers. So much material just coming off of it when I touch it. This pad is wrecked. That needs to be replaced. these rotors, you see these little cracks. I can feel the cracks with my fingernail. It's called heat checking. Supposedly you can turn these rotors, but I have to talk to somebody about that. That's the source of the noise. There's no checking on the inside. It's totally smooth. These are actually studs, not bolts, and so when you start trying to take them off, you might end up having a nut in your hand, you might end up having a stud with a nut stuck to it. I tried to get the nuts off these studs and I could not get them off without damaging the threads, and so I just took them off however they came off and I reinstalled them the same way. Well, you didn't get to see it, but I had to buy this giant socket. This is 3 1/4. I was trying to hammer the outer nut with a chisel, but it was damaging the nut too much. So I got the socket and came back, took this off. Then this piece holds on the inner nut. And then you get the inner nut, which is the same. And then when it's time to get the rotor off, the whole hub comes out, and then this bearing will fall out, so you try to retrieve that before it falls on the ground. Yeah, the rotor looks like it's the same for the front and the back, so I'm just going to go to the place I got my rotors before, and I'm going to grab new rotors. My mechanic friend told me that these cracks can go in really far, and a lot of time you're better off just replacing the rotor. So that's $200 a rotor. So 200, 200, and then 200 for the brake pads, $600 for a brake job. But yeah, these are ate up, and you can tell by the thickness of these new pads that the old pads were really worked for a long time. So that's okay. We'll do a brake job, no problem. I actually had to end up taking this nut off because I spoke to my mechanic friend and he told me that he usually adds gear lube to this hub because it takes a little time for fluid to make its way from the differential to the hub, and so you want to have some in there to start with so that the bearings can be wet. But eventually more fluid will regulate its way into that hub and just kind of pour out there as you go around corners. So this is basically just me undoing what I just did and then putting everything back together. I'm using Permatex Right Stuff to make a fast gasket here. That was all the previous person used, so don't be deceived by the caulk gun. That's just how it came to me from Amazon. I didn't want to have to deal with those like self-pumping pressurized cans that always dry up and don't work anymore. I'm using Thread Locker Orange. I didn't have the green. I'm not sure what the uses are of the green, but I had the orange, which is stronger than the blue, but still removable with hand tools. And so I put that on the coarse threads of these studs. Any one of the studs that came out, I put that on there. And then the ones that didn't come out, I wasn't worried about it. Obviously the Thread Locker worked on those ones. And then the final torque of the installation is definitely applied through the fine thread on the outside end of that stud. Alright, so at this point, I discovered that they did not have the spring clips. Here's an example of a spring clip. This is an example of one that had pulled off and destroyed from the front ones and drove over it with my van. It keeps an anti-rattle clip is what it is. So now I gotta go back out again to get anti-rattle clips because my kit didn't come with them. It came with these. The kit with the front pads came with the anti-rattle, but the rear pads came with this hardware. So I don't know what the deal is with these people playing games with me over here. Look at these pads are already rusty, look. That's awesome. I could not compress the rear caliper pistons with the vise or the channel lock that I used for the fronts. So I ended up using a C-clamp and a pry bar to press in both of these pistons at the same time. So the international dealer says, well, that's not good. We don't have a torque spec. Must be because this truck is too old. Oh, so what do you guys at your shop torque it to when they're working on a truck like this? Oh, they just run it in with a 1 inch. So that's what you're getting when you go to international dealers. Nice. So there you go, guys. I'm just gonna put this last wheel on there, and I'm gonna spare you the agony of seeing me struggle with the other side. I mean, the left side was actually a lot less trouble because, you know, the process of this entire day was me driving back and forth for the tools and the parts that I didn't have or whatever, and I didn't know what rotors I needed until I took it off and compared it to the old rotors from the fronts, and I had a suspicion that they were all going to be the same because this was a 4-wheel disc brake truck, kind of in the old days back when disc brakes were almost a novelty item, and I just suspected they were all going to be the same. They had the same kind of components to them, but I couldn't get the rotor off without that socket, and so I drove out in the morning to get the socket. And then I needed to go get the rotors, and thankfully the Napa dealership delivers, and so they delivered me my brake pads, and I didn't have to go out for a 4th trip for them, but then I had to go back out for that little spring clip. And so I spent a good half of my day driving back and forth, and then half of my day I spent working on this, which is an extraordinary amount of time to spend on a brake job, but it's my first time doing a truck this size. I think if I was better equipped, if I had a full shop full of tools that was already pre-set up to do this type of work, I think I probably could have knocked this out in a good 2 hours. Still, it's kind of excessive for a brake job, it seems like, but you're dealing with heavier components. Everything's put together a little bit differently on these trucks, and it's much the same on a dually Dodge or a dually Ford pickup truck. You got to pull the axle and the hub on the rears to get access to the rotor. So anyways, hopefully this video is going to help you guys. If you're wondering about the torque spec on the rear, I grabbed that long, which is like a 3.5, 4 foot long torque wrench, and I just tightened it to a point where I felt like I was putting my full body weight on that thing, and that's probably more than 300 foot-pounds. So I figured some of the torque specs that I saw for these older trucks was around 350 foot-pounds. So I thought if I put roughly 350, that would be okay. And I didn't want to just trust an impact to get it. I wanted to know that I felt that torque with my hands when I put it together. So you're definitely going to need that long torque wrench or long breaker bar or something just long, unless you really want to trust your impact to it, in which case, you know, have fun, have at it. I'm not very trusting of those things. I think they have a tendency to either be a little bit too loose or a little bit too tight. Sometimes you don't really know if it's a thread pattern you're not used to dealing with or something like that. You could go way over tight or way under tight and not even realize it. So have a great day, guys.
Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video segment, I'm going to show you how to replace the parking brake shoes in a ASE 4700 International. Now the first thing you want to do, you want to have your parking brake disengaged, and it doesn't hurt to actually back off on the adjustments, but the main thing you want to have it disengaged. And we're going to go underneath the vehicle and get started. If you're not a subscriber, do not forget to hit that little square button over to your right and subscribe right away. Let's get started. Now what we're going to do, we're going to disconnect the drive shaft. We have 4 bolts to remove. We're going to use a 3/8 12-point wrench, and you can use a 3/8 12-point socket with a ratchet and just break them loose. Just going to put a wrench on there. Give me more leverage. Now, once I remove the bolts, I like to take the drive shaft, take a piece of rope and just move it to the side. You can just drop it down, either way you choose. I'm going to move this last bolt. We'll take a screwdriver. I'm going to pry right here, just pop it loose. Just move it out from the yoke. There we go. Make sure you keep up with your bearings. That is very important. Let's move the drive shaft over to the bottom. Just go tie it all the way. Now, if you're doing this on the ground, not much of a problem. I just lay it on the ground. So if you notice, I dropped one of the caps. This is the cap that I actually dropped. When I dropped it, the needle bearings just came flying out. So I had to collect all the needle bearings and put them back in place. So just make sure you hold on to your cap and don't do like I just did and take a chance of letting it slip out. Because if so, you have to look for needle bearings. All right, just something to look out for. And then we had a drive shaft out the way. I want to use a 13/16 socket to remove the brake drum. This center bolt here. Slide it on out. Now this piece of vice grip pliers. Hold the spring. You just pick up on brake shoes. You can actually see how the rivets actually came out. So we just want to take off our spring, to the side. This is the way it's supposed to look. rivets inside of the shoe. Just want to point out this plate. Sometimes you have to replace this plate if your grooves are worn real bad. But this one here, it looks in real good shape. You can also use the brake tool to do this. Whichever is best. Or you just use regular vice grips. No further than you have to go to actually get into the hole. This is a good time to replace your rear transmission oil seal. If it's leaking, you have any issues with it, great time to get to it. Back on the drum. Mount back elbow. Again, you need a 13/16 socket. Going to torque it down. And we just turn our drum to line up our drive shaft. We're going to get our lock cap. That should do it. So last thing we need to do is just loosen up on our parking brake. And we did that in the first part of the video, but I'm sure it's gonna be a little tighter. Oh yeah. Let's loosen up a little bit more. They got all they could out of this parking brake. Let's see here. That's what you need. That's perfect. All right. I hope this video was helpful. Do not forget to subscribe. Take care. Work safely. And God bless.
Yeah, so this is the inside of the box. Got the little E-tracks, Got the little wood panels, wood, whatever you want to call it. So it has plenty of options on how you want to hold stuff. Oh man, it's outdoor activity as well. That floor is not worth much though. So look like it's just one side of the floor. It's like really bad. The other side's not as. Before I start saying that, let's look at the other side before. Yeah, like I said, one side, the other side, this side's not that bad. It does have some discoloration going on with it. We gotta come up with something with that flooring. Yeah, we're gonna call that crack floor repair. We still work with it, you know. That used to be a switch. It's not connected to nothing now. So maybe that was alright, I'm gonna see about naming everything. I can. The master cylinder, the reservoir on top of the master cylinder, the oil dipstick. And after that, we got some exhaust, the upper radiator hose. Over under there is the right here is the lower radiator hose. Leaf guards, big old caliber. Oh goodness, huge brake caliber. This might be release. Hydraulic system. After that, got the actual components. This right here is that's right there. If you have to move that, that's like for alignment. You have to move back in alignment. Just fan clutch, radiator. Is that fickle? This might be the fickle, the fuel intake control module. We have where's the water pump? Cam. The cam shaft is on the bottom. So yeah, cam shaft. And then crankshaft, crankshaft. That's crankshaft and camshaft. You know what else? I think the basic name down here, everything except the drive. This is the dry rod. Make sure it doesn't have any play in it. But this ain't no more than it should play. Absorber, shock absorbers. windshield wiper fluid, air, what's that, air filter. You gotta remove it by taking this out. This is how you remove it. Not exactly sure what this little thing is yet. We'll figure it out. It looks like it's an air filter, something. So I don't know what that is. We'll figure it out. This right here is a fuel water separator. I'm not exactly sure what this is right here. Is that the oil? Big old thing, the oil, that's the oil. The alternator, timing belt, this water pump. It must be the water pump right there. Got it going on. See that little rusty thing over there? That is the oil pan. We're gonna have fun. All right. So, man, that's it was a lot. So, just a little few things I know that we're gonna have to do some corrective maintenance. Is the horn? The horn does not work. So before we get on any kind of road, anything, we gotta fix that horn. Then another thing that's corrective we don't have to really fix right away is the windshield wipers. Well, actually, the windshield crack. That's one thing. We do have a crack that's going there. That doesn't have to get fixed right away, but it does have to get fixed after a while. The windshield wipers, the driver's side door. You have to actually open it up from the other side. So when that dude was talking earlier about how that has issues, I'm like, yeah, it does. But it's not a huge deal. To me, it's like, okay, all right, whatever. Just got to make sure we don't lock ourselves out. When we talk about that air filter, I'm pretty sure replacing it is going to be needed. But yeah, as far as the door, driver's side, we'll take care of that summertime. That's a summertime project. Windshield crack, be another summer project. And windshield wipers we can replace. So the horn, we gotta fix the horn. We gotta figure out whatever's going on with the horn. When it comes to the windshield wipers, we have to replace the windshield wipers. The windshield crack, the crack that's in there, we're gonna take care of that in the summertime. As far as the driver's door, it is not open from the outside. It opens from the inside. So that's another thing. One thing I do notice is too is like if you don't close it up, that thing won't close. You gotta make sure it's really closed. So that's another thing. But yeah, that's a summer project. The air filter, we can replace that ASAP. That's probably gonna be like an $80 thing. You know, them things, they're very expensive, believe it or not. Okay, so as far as the flooring, we're gonna have to do a little research on the flooring, trying to figure out flooring options, ways that we can seal up those cracks. It's only on one side. It's only on the driver's side, where on the floor where you see it, there's some cracks and things of that nature. So we're gonna have to figure that out. And as far as anything that needs to be done as far as the engine, of course, you know, we're gonna have to get an oil change. So we're gonna have to do an oil change. Outside the oil change, when I was going down, the brakes were perfect, amazing. I have no complaints on the brakes. Them things are great. Eventually, we are going to have to do something about them. So what we're gonna do a brake check. That's all we're gonna do. And what that's gonna entail, we may lift it up for a second. I really don't want to do it at the house. I'm gonna wait. I mean, as far as actually taking the shoes off, because I'm in the incline or decline. So there's one or two ways we can do this. I can do the brake check like Sunday. And the reason why I'm willing to do it Sunday is because Monday is when I'm gonna get the I'm gonna take care of getting a parking lot. That's when I'm gonna take care of that. So if I'm gonna take care of that Monday, if I look at it and I'm up top Sunday night, and I go and drive it Monday morning, then it's all good. As far as the oil change, we can do the oil change Sunday as well. So Sunday, we're going to get our hands dirty. That's what it sounds like. So we're going to do an oil change, brake check. The AC was not all that, but the AC is there. But when that sun started hitting, oh my gosh, you don't want to be in that thing after a while. And if you're caught in traffic, it's exhausting. Looking at that, those are the two things I can see. Let me figure something real quick. All right. So let's look at it. So there. So when I was looking at it, it seems to be a leak that's going on of oil that is between the transaxle and transaxle box and the oil pan. So I feel that what we need to do is clean and do some degreasing. All right, we're gonna do that to the bottom. And the reason why we're gonna do it after the oil change, of course. And the reason why we're gonna do it is that way we can see fresh oil. You know what I mean? So that way, what I probably end up doing is after I clean it, wherever I go to that day, I'm gonna go and look under and see what's going on. So that's what's gonna happen there. And then we're going to put Monday move day. All right, so yeah, so we're going to do oil change Sunday, brake check, degrease the bottom, so that way we can see what we're working with. All right, so just real quick, let's check and see. So do a full baseline check first. Engine, checked the level, the color. It was no milkiness. It was straight black for the most part. That's normal. When we talk about the coolant, there was no rust that I seen in the coolant, and it wasn't low. But now that I look at it, next time I look at it, I'm gonna check for rust and coolant reservoir. Yeah. I'm gonna check for rust and coolant. Transmission fluid, especially since you mentioned a leak. Rear differential fluid, brake systems. Listen for leaks of air brakes, belts, and hoses. And if that cracks, that means that we need to replace. So really, we need to check that, and then we're checking hoses and belts, and check the hoses and belts. Rear differential. Yeah, we can check that fluid too. As far as transmission fluid, I'm not saying we don't have to check it, but we do have to check it. All right, so one thing that we can do, start with the short light runs. In our case, we did a whole Ohio to Georgia, so yeah, we know it's good. Yeah, so what I did do, I avoided heavy traffic. Instead of me driving and during the sun time, I opt to get a hotel room. Letting the engine fully warm up is something that you need to do. So when I bought the International, I made it a point to first check the engine oil to see if it was milky, if any kind of, see the coloration, everything, and then after that, I then let the air build up for a second, and then when the voltage hit, then we was able to start it. And then from there, I was looking and seeing how it sounded. Does it seem like it was a strong engine or not? So on and so forth. So yeah, so we have to look out for weird vibrations. The smoke color changes. Well, there really wasn't, like, the thing is, when I bought it, it was in the wintertime. Well, I mean, yeah, near the end of winter. Bought it like February, like the 8th or something of the nature. So after taking a look at it, I didn't really see any smoke in the back. That was like alarming. And when I was driving, I seen kind of funny smoke. Shifting wasn't an issue. When the dude showed it to me, I'm not gonna front. Anybody who drives trucks knows when you first jump in the truck, if you have not really been shifting, it's gonna take you a minute to really get the shift in correctly. So that's what I was going against. Temperature creeping up, it really wasn't creeping up. It stayed where it needed to be. Then upshift 1200 to 1400, downshift 900 to 1100. For an older diesel, don't log the engine. Too low RPM underload. Okay, yeah. So what that mean is, well, I mean, the whole thing is like it's easy to go high on that thing. Don't rev high unnecessarily. Smooth, low stress driving, longer life. So that's why I was explaining to the person that drove down with me was I did not want to stress the truck as far as getting in any heavy traffic, especially when we don't know what's really going on with the truck. This is a new truck to us, so it's like anything can happen. We can, and it's as is. That's why I bought it. I bought it as is. So that means if it's stuck in the middle of the road because we're such a rush and all of a sudden because we're going in that kind of traffic where it's like back, because that's what kills vehicles. What kills vehicle, in my opinion, is overheating and traffic. Those are two things that kills vehicles. Traffic, because like in the manual, you're continually shifting, up shifting, down shifting, up shifting, down shifting, and you're continuously going at it. All right, that's the thing about manuals. And then in your traffic, outside that is your vehicle heats up. So if you were driving and you're having like a kind of overheating issue, you might be able to get away with turning the temperature gauge all the way to high and letting it go through the cooling through the vents, and then maybe even taking the top and loosening up a little bit, not where it's about to fly out, and even putting up the hood depending on how fast you're driving. If you're driving fast, you shouldn't put up the hood. But if you're not driving fast, then putting up the hood might work just to get that airflow in. So what I'm saying is, if you don't have good airflow and you're driving, in a sense, it's gonna be heavier on your engine. So all right, so monitoring leaks. Old trucks will leak a little. Yeah. Park over cardboard. Identify engine oil, which this is what we got. We have engine oil that's between the transaxle case and the engine pan. Transmission fluid is red. The coolant is green, orange. Check daily at first. Small seep. Monitor. Drip or puddle, we gotta fix it. Yeah. So there was a small drip or small puddle and everything like that, but it was coming after a trip that we took, so I don't know. Start. So the heat cycle of the engine. This is key for old engines, trucks that set. Start, warm up, drive, cool down. Repeat this over several days. This helps seals re-expand, gasket reset, moisture burn off. Yeah, because if it's not moving, that means all that rain, all that stuff, that moisture. But I feel that after driving it from that distance, we shouldn't have an issue. We didn't drive in no rain either. We could get some additives. So we need to add some fuel additives. Yeah, so the fuel additives and clean diesel, high turnover stations. So one thing about like the diesel, it's been sitting there, and diesel breaks down quicker than regular gas. So the quality of the diesel diminishes faster. So that right there, by putting clean diesel, fresh clean diesel, and add the additives in it, is going to help with the injectors as well as a fuel pump lubrication. The next thing we need to look for is gradually increase load and distance after a few successful short trips, which we've already done. We need to avoid the long highway hauls, the heavy loads, which technically in the mountain drives, we already did all that. We went through a long haul, 9 hours. It wasn't a heavy load. And then after that, when we talk about the mountain driving, you're going through Tennessee and Kentucky. That's all you see is mountains. All right, so things we need to look out for: overheating, loss of power. And when I was driving it, it initially lost a little power. And what I did was I accidentally went to the wrong way, where it was like, I guess it's not the wrong way, but it said no trucks or whatever. So I kind of got nervous and was thinking about it. I'm like, man, technically speaking, I should be able to drive through. I might be able to. I don't know. So what I did, I basically just hit a 3-point turn, and then after I hit the 3-point turn, the vehicle shut off on me, and so I had to turn it off, and I let it sit there for like 2 minutes, and I put the clutch down. It took me a minute to kind of figure out again. Oh yeah, the clutch. So put the clutch down, hit that thing. We was on the way. All right, so that's one thing I did notice. Like it was a few times where the power wasn't getting there, but then once baby started flowing, baby was going at it like we getting there. So I have to say that's something I am gonna have to keep an eye out on. As far as hard shifting and grinding, I've been driving manual for a while, so I do know how to like shift correctly. I'm floating everything like that. I am going to look to use the clutch, and then I'll float depending on how I feel. But that's really what that is. I didn't see any white or blue thick smoke, and there really wasn't any real loud knocking. It did make engine noise. So when we talk about a 99, it isn't about breaking it in. It's being reconditioned through use. So our goal is to catch problems early instead of discovering them on the highway. That's true. Yeah. So a transmission axle leak is something we should be looking out for. I doubt it. Yeah, I doubt it. Let me one more thing. All right. So most problems would have shown up on the run that we just did from Ohio to Atlanta. With only minor issues means the truck has a good foundation. So post-run stabilization, and this is do a post-trip inspection, non-negotiable. Look underneath for new or worse leaks. Check wheel hubs, any grease thrown out, and feel for loose bolts, worn bushings. Then recheck oil, coolant, transmission fluid. Long drives expose weak points. This is where they show up. That's true. Change fluid soon. All right, that's what we were talking about earlier. We were talking about getting the oil, and then of course you get the oil, you got to get the filter, and then we were talking about the fuel filter as well. All right, so what we're gonna do? We're gonna switch out the fuel filter and the oil, and the oil filter, the air filter, transmission fluid, especially since you saw a leak earlier. Nah, not really. I'm not gonna worry about that. Differential fluid. Yeah, so I don't know about that transmission fluid. I'm gonna look into it, think about it, but that's gonna be if and when I do that, I'll probably do it at when it's back in the regular lot. But for right now, we're talking about the differential fluid. We're gonna check that before we change it. So still start leaking more. Heat woke them up. Old hoses crack under pressure. Sensors, electrical gremlins appear. Belts loosen or squeal. And you didn't avoid these. they just haven't fully shown yet. So yeah, so one thing I did see was it was like something was funny with the lights for a second. As far as noises, it was making some. So tighten re-torque key areas after the run, lug nuts, drive shaft bolts, battery terminals, hose clamps. And so saying drive it a few days, 20-45 minute runs, mix of stop and go, steady speed. Regular use, seals stay alive, battery stays strong, fuel system stays clean. Then yeah, we need to build a trust factor. So it needs, I need to know how it sounds when it's healthy, how it feels when it shifts, where it slightly leaks versus problem leaks. And then top things to fix next. Monitor and or repair the transaxle leak. Then the cool system reliability. The next thing will be the fuel system, filters and lines. Next thing will be brakes, especially since we're dealing with an air system. Tires, make sure they're not dry rotting. Yeah, so by doing the highway trip that we did from Ohio to Atlanta, we stress test the truck already. So we're looking to stabilize it, clean up weak spots, and then turn it into a dependable moneymaker. So what we got? So Sunday, we're going to go ahead and do an oil change, the fuel filter, change the oil filter too as well. We're going to check the brakes. We're going to degrease the bottom Sunday. For the most part, today is Thursday. So yeah, if I get to it sooner, great. But that's what we're going to be working with right now. And then after that, Monday it's gonna be moving day. Other things we're gonna do, next time we get fuel, we're gonna add some fuel additives to it. We're gonna check the rear differential fluid. We're gonna check the rust and coolant, and we're gonna check hoses, belts, and transmission fluid. We're gonna check all of this probably tomorrow sometime. We're gonna check that, but when it comes to the actually implementing and doing things, we're gonna do it Sunday. Yeah, man. So with that being said, shoot, we're gonna go ahead and ride. We're gonna split and shoot. Hopefully we can go ahead and get whatever we need to get going. One sec. Yeah, let's go ahead and ride.
don't have money, just